The Potter and the Moon Shadow. In a small cottage made of stone and moss, Kaolin lived among spinning wheels and wet earth. She was a potter who saw the soul in every lump of clay. Her hands were always stained with the gray dust of her craft, and her heart was as warm as the kiln she stoked every evening. She loved the silence of the woods that bordered her home, finding peace in the rhythm of her work. One morning, while searching for a rare type of river clay near the Whispering Brook, Kaolin met Arlo. He was a tall man with a quiet voice and eyes that seemed to reflect the shifting shadows of the forest canopy. He was a woodcutter, but he moved through the trees with a grace that suggested he belonged to the wild more than the village. He reached down to help her pull a heavy bucket of silt from the water's edge. As the weeks passed, Arlo began to visit the cottage often. He brought Kaolin pieces of driftwood and smooth stones he found deep in the forest. In return, she taught him how to shape the earth. He marveled at how her fingers could turn a shapeless mound into something delicate and strong. They spoke of the stars and the secrets hidden beneath the roots of the ancient oaks. Arlo was kind and gentle, yet Kaolin noticed a growing restlessness in him as the month wore on. He would often stop mid-sentence to tilt his head, listening to a sound she could not hear. His movements became sharper, and his eyes grew brighter with an amber fire. He told her stories of the Moon Shadow, a spirit that haunted the woods when the sky grew round and white. On the night when the moon hung heavy and silver like a polished coin, Arlo arrived at Kaolin's door with a look of deep sorrow. "Do not follow the howling tonight, Kaolin," he whispered, his voice cracking like dry timber. "The forest is not a place for a potter when the moon shadow walks. Promise me you will stay behind your stone walls." Before she could answer, he turned and vanished into the darkness. Kaolin tried to work, but the clay felt cold and lifeless in her hands. The wind carried a sound that made her heart ache, a long, melodic howl that sounded less like a hunter and more like a song of loneliness. She thought of Arlo's amber eyes and the way he touched the clay with such reverence. She knew she could not let him face the shadows alone. She stepped into the woods, the lantern casting long, flickering shadows against the claymation trees. The air was crisp, smelling of pine and damp earth. Every snap of a twig made her pulse jump, but she pressed on toward the clearing where the brook sang its loudest. She called his name into the silver light, her voice a soft bell in the vast, silent dark. In the center of the clearing stood a creature of silver and smoke. It was a wolf, larger than any dog, with fur that looked like frozen starlight. Its eyes were the exact amber of Arlo's gaze. The wolf froze as she approached, a low rumble vibrating in its chest. It was the Moon Shadow, the wild half of the man who had shared her bench and shaped her clay. Kaolin did not run. She set her lantern down and walked forward, her hands open and empty. "Arlo," she said softly, "the clay is the same, whether it is a bowl or a wild thing." The wolf tilted its head, the growl fading into a whimper. Slowly, she reached out and buried her fingers in the thick, coarse fur of its neck. The wolf leaned into her touch, closing its eyes. When the sun began to peek over the horizon, the silver fur receded and the amber fire dimmed. Arlo sat in the dew-covered grass, human once more, wrapped in Kaolin's wool shawl. They watched the dawn together, knowing that the moon shadow would always return, but that it would never have to walk the woods alone again. The potter and the woodcutter headed home to where the kiln was waiting to be lit.